Okay, West Side. So since August, this is where we've focused the majority of our work, or new work anyways. So some interesting things going on here in the timeline. Remember, West Side was not completed during the 2007 work. So what we're coming back to do now is to finish that excavation and all of its, all the RAD surveys. So we have portions of this disposal area that are not completely backfilled. So they were left at a 4-foot depth. And then we have two areas on the south and north end that were backfilled that we're going to go back and re-excavate those, much like we did in North Point and Bayside. I'll get into that figure in a minute. A couple other interesting activities at Bayside or at West Side is a deep burial area, very close to building 1321. I have another slide here that'll get into detail on that. But this is a deeper waste area. So typically we only dig to 4 feet. In that area we're going to dig to 10 feet. We also have radiological waste storage containers. These are a few 6-foot yellow boxes that we have radiological waste stored in, and so we are sorting those boxes. And again, I have another slide that will detail that. So moving forward. So here's a detail of the area that I was talking about that was previously excavated. So this is in process, I like to call it. So it has not been backfilled. This is left open, the excavation's open. These are the previous backfilled areas. So this doesn't have any evidence of digging at the moment, but we will go back and dig those. So this is going to be considered all one solid waste disposal area that we will obtain free release. Let me go back to that slide. And the area that I mentioned before, the deep buried waste area is right here. So this is a 60 by 60, roughly 60 by 60 grid, going down to about 10 feet. And so we're going to take kind of a unique approach to that. And again, I'll show you that in another slide. So what does it look like out there right now? This is what you would see. A 4-foot excavation. This is a sidewall of one of the previous former buildings. This is the concrete foundation. Same thing here. This is a former building pad. So one of the first activities we're going to do, well, currently we're sorting the radiological waste containers. As soon as we're done with that, we're going to remove these concrete foundations as we did in the other solid waste disposal areas, and then begin the digging of this material that's underneath. So the process will continue to be the same as soon as we're done with these waste containers. Next slide. Okay, so here's an overview. So the question comes up: why was this the selected area for a particularly deep waste burial area? It's because there was a former runway here in the 1940s, and it was common practice by the military to dispose of items at the end of a runway because people didn't inhabit the end of a runway, and people didn't typically hang out at the end of a runway. So this was a very typical practice to dispose of items that were out here. So that's basically the overlay of our solid waste disposal area with the former runway location. So it gives you an idea of why is it there. Okay, so due to the depth of that particular location and the underwater conditions and the silty sand that we find out there, it poses difficulties for excavating this material. We're going down to 10 feet. So this is the engineering that we introduced to the area. We drive these vertical rails in a box formation, and then we slide in this panel shoring. And what this does is hold back the sidewalls, typical shoring in a trench situation, to hold back the sidewall so that we can surgically pinpoint our excavations, so that we're a little more accurate in where we're chasing the RAD contamination. So we're going down to 10 feet. These panels will move as we advance the excavation, so as we dig deeper, these panels will be dropped down into the excavation, and we can collect samples at the bottom with much more ease. So This is, you may have seen these delivered in the recent time. I'll give you an idea of what we're doing out there. Next. Okay, right now, today, we are in the process of sorting these radiological waste storage containers. We sometimes refer to them as B25 boxes. B25s are simply a model name for this storage container. They literally are just a simple container that was filled in 2007 when we were previously excavating in that 1321 deep burial area. So the material that's in here came previously from that 1321 area. So these waste storage containers were sealed in 2007. We have opened them, de-watered them. There were pockets of water inside here because, of course, the material came from underwater. It was placed at that time directly from an excavator bucket into these boxes. So the first step was to de-water them. And then we needed to sort them. The reason we needed to sort them is because there was munitions, potential munitions, mixed in with our radiological waste. So we have to open these up, we have to sort them piece by piece, literally combing with small instruments, hand instruments, picking out radiological objects and picking out munitions. Separating those two waste streams because they cannot be disposed of together. That's a regulation. We can't dispose of those two things together. So we have to separate them. Next slide. So